Hello, everyone. My name is Danny, and this is my review for I'm Not There. I'm Not There. Inspired by the life and songs of Bob Dylan, I'm Not There is a profoundly personal and passionate film that captures the essence of this elusive genius. 6 different actors, including, I'll get there in a second, in a soon-to-be legendary performance. Each embody part of the Dylan legend, from Greenwich Village folk singer to electric guitar trailblazer to born-again preacher. Directed by Academy Award-nominated writer-director Todd Haynes, I'm Not There is unquestionably the year's most original American movie. This is a 2007, 2008, somewhere around there, movie. It is rated R, very much, lot of language, and it runs a little over 2 hours. And this is all the people that it stars. It's right in the front of the movie. It says Christian Bale, Cate Blanchett, Marcus Carl Franklin, Richard Gere, Heath Ledger, Ben Whishaw. And it was nominated supposedly for Academy Awards and everything. So I've never heard of it, and it came on my list, and it's about 10 years old now, going on a little past 10 years, and I thought it was good. I'm glad I saw it. I thought it was going to be a documentary, and it borderlines on that, but the fact that it was nominated and it has all these people in it, and it has all the music, it's worth it. So, I'm Not There notes. There's a young black male in this. I guess he's one of the essence of Dylan, and what he goes through and what he has going on. I think it's a really good story. I think it's probably the best story of anybody in the movie and what they have going on for their part. I thought that the kid had the best acting, the best voice, what he had going on with himself. He was trying to escape from. Obviously, you're supposed to think that Bob Dylan went through that. But I wasn't thinking about it at that time, and he's kind of the first one out of the movie. I didn't really even figure out what was going on, through the kid's part of the movie. So, yeah, I mean, everybody else did okay, and I'm glad it has so many different actors in it. But I'd say the young kid was probably the best. I appreciate him the most. This does come with a lot of different messages. I'm glad that while he was trying to achieve some goals, that it still stuck true to trying to display Bob Dylan's message and what he was trying to convey. I mean, this movie's about him and his legacy and what he kind of achieved, and like the part about being a preacher, it mentions that on the sleeve. I'm glad they attended to that while trying to accomplish some other goals. So some of the goals, it does talk about JFK getting shot and everything. Talks about MLK. Talks about civil rights and all that stuff. It talks about the man, talks about corporations, talks about staying true to yourself and not selling out. So I don't know how musicians made it back then. And they were all against the man, but then they ended up being millionaires, and that addresses that also. So it's kind of a really tough, deep movie, and I always appreciate those kind of movies. I mean, it gets you thinking, gets you inspired. It sticks in your brain after you watch it because it was heavy, and maybe you'll never have any questions to those questions, but and the fact that people like that existed in this world once upon a time that did not want to be millionaires because they would turn into what they hate, but they'd sing and do music to achieve that status. I mean, it's kind of messed up, but that's our history. And so it was cool to have it as part of a movie. It was really good. It's a little, I'd say hard to follow. I think is the right way to say it. It's not bad. It's not like crazy out of this world, but along the way, you're just kind of wondering where it's at, where it's kind of thinking. You know, you're kind of hearing the same dialogue. You're hearing this one essence of Dylan talk to this reporter, and that kind of goes on and kind of spins its wheels. So a lot of people show up, and you don't know who they are. You don't know what their importance is to the movie or the storyline or Dylan's life or anything. I barely recognized any songs, and that didn't help things either. So it does kind of get stale in the middle, sort of. It is in black and white, which I don't ever see as a problem, but I hear from a lot of people that we're not into those kind of movies anymore, that we kind of moved past that. So it's a different kind of risky art film making. Another one that was a real classic lately is The Disaster Artist. So people do really like movies that use the black and white strategy, but I'm just letting people know that this is one that has a lot of black and white. It's not just, you know, thrown in there like The Disaster Artist did. Like I said about the music, it was good enough, and when it came up, a song or somebody singing, it was nice to kind of fill in, kind of keep things moving. And then when it didn't have any music that I knew for a while, it was kind of stale, but it was good enough. I thought it was worth it. So the last thing I'll just say is that obviously most of those names I read, Christian Bale and Richard Gere, they've all become big stars in 10 years since this was made. And I'm sure they actually remember this. I'm sure they do. This was quite the project. It was quite the commitment and honoring Bob Dylan, and it was totally worth it. And I'm glad that it's still around. I'm glad that it came up on my list. I'm glad I found out about this, which I've never known, and I don't know how many people have. So totally give this a watch. I'm going to give it a B- just because it had that kind of olden feel to it. And I'm sorry it's been 10 plus years that I finally get to watch this, but it just felt kind of old. And like I said, it kind of got stale in the middle. But it has wonderful acting, has a wonderful cast, has wonderful story, wonderful music. I don't know. I can't compare this to anything else because it was such wonderful acting. Like when people get projects that they are passionate about, you can tell. You can tell how that they really try. They're really into their character. They can be like this, but they can say the most profound thing that you've ever heard. And that happened a couple times to me in this movie. I'm like, what did you just say? I'm like, whoa. And then I didn't write it down. But yeah, I totally like this movie. And I just can't give it an A, but it's very worthy to watch. So B- for I'm Not There. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. If you like any of my other videos, try and give some of them a watch. Thank you for watching this one. Like and subscribe to my channel if you would. And thanks a lot, guys. Enjoy your movies.